Hi, welcome to TWA Surveys. This is Ryan Williams. I'm going to tell you a couple stories about some sports teams that use great symbols to encourage their players and to build their team and direct them forward in leadership. Hopefully you can take these stories away and think about how you might be able to use in your workplaces. The first team I want to talk about is the Screaming Eagles from Eastern Washington. A great football team, good buddy of mine. I played quarterback for him, and he told me this story about how their defensive line coach uses a symbol to encourage his players and enforce their values. What they've done is, well, and what most defensive line coaches do is they put a ball on the end of a stick. And the reason they do that is every time the coach moves the ball, the defensive line is supposed to move. This encourages them to move quickly whenever they see a ball move, because that's what defensive linemen are supposed to do. Well, they wanted to twist that a little bit. And what this coach decided is that at the beginning of every season, he puts an axe handle onto the end of this ball, and the axe handle to symbolize power and strength and these types of things. But he doesn't just leave it as that. So he uses his axe handle. The players see it all the time because he's always got it in his hand. And after every game, there's one player who exemplifies their values and the goals that they set out at the beginning of the season, and they celebrate that one player by nominating him to get their number burned on that axe handle. And so throughout the season, every week, there's a new number burned on the axe handle. So as you see the season grow, you see the players that have been celebrated for different events and different big plays throughout the season. Now, at the end of the season, at their big banquet, that axe handle now becomes the trophy for the best defensive lineman every year, and they grant that to the person who exemplified all those things the best. Next year, they start over again with a new axe handle. It's a clean slate, and they get to build the process with a new group of players. The other team I wanted to talk about was the University of Alberta Golden Bears, which is where I played. And now when I was there, and this is where symbols really have to fit the audience, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of context around this. This would not be appropriate for most office places, but when you're playing football at a university, you tend to be young men. Young men want to be virile and to be strong, and so they pick a symbol that will really resonate with those. And it turns out in northern Alberta, there's a lot of ranchers. We had a lot of, we had bull riders on our football team. And so they picked, can you even guess, a bull's penis bone. All right? Now, this bull's penis bone was granted by the players to a player after every single game. And then they got to leave that bone up in their locker during the week, and it would get passed around throughout the season, and whoever had the bone represented the person who exemplified what the defense wanted to be most. And so the players picked it, the players chose it, and the players passed it around. Now, like I said, this wouldn't be appropriate for most groups, but it turns out with young men, something like that was really to be coveted, to be prized, and they wanted to be the guy who had that bone in their locker room. It was granted, every Monday for that week, they would be the guy, and everybody wanted the bone. And so I tell these couple stories because I say in our office places, we really don't use enough symbolism and things that allow us to have regular celebrations of who does the best that they do and that exemplify where we want to go. So I'd encourage you to take these stories for what they're worth and say, well, what can we do in our office place? Because unfortunately, we just don't do that enough there. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July to all our American friends out there. And those who just finished Canada Day, hopefully you had a great one. Take care.